Today's episode is all about a sneaky and early sign of anxious attachment. And I've been noticing this theme in my one on one clients this week, and I felt like the podcast here would be a great place to share what I see. And honestly, I'll also share how I saw this in myself, because as you might know, and if you don't know, I used to be anxiously attached, was dating an avoidant, and now we're married with a secure relationship. So I can't wait to talk more about this early sign because I really believe in preventative care. All right. So if you are a girly that experiences anxious attachment, and if you're brand new to that, then some of the ways that you might be feeling are overthinking. That's a classic sign. Overthinking that everything with how long it took them to text back. They didn't send an emoji with the last text. Are they mad at me? Overthinking literally everything from communication to are they even into me? Spiraling with those kind of thoughts. Maybe you get really activated or anxious when they take a minute to respond. An example of this is one of my clients. Her boyfriend is he's moving, and not only that, but he had somebody pass away recently, a family member pass away, and so he's got a lot of stuff going on. And even though logically she knows this, her anxious attachment is really activated. She can't help but worry, and we're working through that together, but it's really kind of those classic signs of anxious attachment. So if that's you, and maybe I should just do an episode on what the symptoms are, I'm happy to do that. So let me know in the comments if you want me to do that, or send me a DM. And let's dive into that, because if you are new here, my name is Claire, and I do love helping so much with my whole heart overachieving, high performing girlies who are seriously just so amazing. You're so smart, so intelligent. I have clients who've got like many letters behind their name with their academics, or maybe you are successful by being an entrepreneur. By the way, success does not mean you have to have a degree. I've got clients that are majorly successful financially because they're entrepreneurs or they're investors, or maybe you are currently in school, anything like that, where you have a lot of achievements underneath you, but somehow with all those achievements, you are not achieving in relationship. So if that is you, then you're in the right place, and I'm really excited to share what some of those early and sneaky signs of anxious attachment are. And if you are enjoying this episode or any of the episodes in the podcast, it would be so wonderful to leave a 5-star review from you. They seriously make such a difference, and I have this goal personally. I'd love 1,000 reviews, and I know that might feel strange to say that out loud, but we don't get what we don't ask for. So if you are enjoying this, if you're enjoying any of my content here, then leave a 5-star review. It just takes seriously less than a second. So doing that, thank you in advance. And let's get sneaky. Let's talk about this early sign. And I seriously noticed this first and foremost in myself. All right. I'm talking when I was like boy crazy in high school. I mean, this goes way, way back. And the sign then that I didn't realize had such a big impact on me to even current day was I really believed even in high school that I had to give 1,000%. And my husband, who used to teach math for 15 years, would just like shudder hearing me say that it's 1,000%, because he'd say there's no such thing as 1,000%, but in my brain, as a fire sign, as a Sagittarius, 100%. I'm 1,000% in, but basically, I would really feel that I had to be 1,000% in with somebody, even in high school. And I remember going to ring dance in my junior year, and I wasn't even dating this guy. A guy asked me to ring dance, which is like a special thing. Some schools don't have this, but you get your high school ring, and then we celebrate with a ring dance. And I wasn't even with him. We weren't even official or exclusive or anything, but I was being so sweet, giving him so much of my time. And he actually broke my heart. He asked somebody else to go to ring dance instead. But I remember even back then being so devastated and so hurt because I was giving him energetically in my heart all of my feelings and all of my emotions. And so that was just with somebody that I wasn't dating. And some of you who right now might be relating that you're giving so much time, energy, and of yourself to somebody you're not even exclusive with, honey. Okay. So that's like one thing that I can totally relate to. And then going fast forwarding into college and into my young adulthood and adulthood, I 100% can relate to being the girl that was the ride or die. Like, I'm going to be the best girlfriend ever. I'm going to be there no matter what, through thick and thin. And I know some of you are probably relating to that, right? Where, well, isn't that the way it's supposed to be? And let me just say that being committed in a relationship is great. And at the same time, there are certain places and phases of a relationship where that's totally fine. Like, I am married. I better be 100% in, okay? But that is very different when you are not even exclusive or you're early on in dating. Like, you're getting to know if you're a good match. So I just want to say that if it's good to be 100% in when you're like married, okay? You're engaged, but I just know that I had this mentality way before I was even to that point with anybody else. So going back, looking back, I totally related to being 100% in with just anybody that I was remotely interested in. And this goes back to just how I started to create that reality. Why, like, for me, I would just think, oh, that's just who I am. That's my thing. And I'm just saying this because I guarantee you might be saying this language. I didn't really understand how deeply programmed it is in our society, because I was getting all of this messaging from movies. I was young. I was a Disney kid. Still am a Disney kid, honestly. That might be cringy for some of you, but I totally am. And I remember just watching movies like The Little Mermaid, and she had the prince, and she was totally in love with him, like became a human for him, for goodness sake, right? So we get so much messaging, even as young children, in the past about what value we have in relationship. And so we're getting these messages as young children, and then we're getting messages from society that women are more valuable when we're in a relationship. And that goes back to patriarchal, capitalistic things where we weren't able to hold property. We were only valuable as a part of property that men owned us. So I mean, I could go down this rabbit hole, but I just want to relate back to these messages and thoughts of where women have value. And I just absolutely valued myself as being a girlfriend. Somehow I was more worthy. I was better than somebody who didn't have a boyfriend. All right. And I'll just get even more personal with my distorted thoughts around romance and love. So my mom, who was a career woman, so grateful for her. She's never going to listen to this podcast. But I love you, Mom. She would enjoy getting off of work and reading what I would call brain candy of romance novels. I have my own version of romance novels these days. I'm really into Sarah J. Maas and the whole ACOTAR thing, and if you know, you know. But I was reading these really inappropriate books as a young child. I learned a lot, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I learned a lot about life and relationship from those books, inappropriate. But not only was that not probably great for my young mind, learning about relationship, but I also it was distorted. The heroine, this pirate gal, gets stolen by a pirate and has no autonomy and no choice, and somehow they fall in love. I mean, these are the kind of books like with the Fabio guy on the cover, this handsome man. And even those books, I just kind of cringe thinking back about just the messages about men and women that were in my mind at the time. So I'm saying like this goes very, very deep for me, where whether it's the Little Mermaid or the Pirate Princess gets stolen and it's all about the guy. This was very deeply ingrained in my belief systems that I was only valuable as a woman and in relationship. And so I would give my all in relationship. So the problem with creating healthy, secure relationships is self-abandonment. It doesn't have a place there. And so let's go into what self-abandonment really is. Self-abandonment, and I did this literally almost every single relationship, seriously every relationship where I would self-abandon. I would abandon my own desires, my own needs, my own truth in order to fit into the other person's life. And again, like, as you can see from what I shared, like that was what I was programmed to believe. That was part of what I grew up thinking was right, that I should just be totally devoted. And honestly, I'm sharing the macro view around relationship and how I got that programmed, but I was also seeing it in my own relationship, my parents' relationship, where my I'm Filipino, I'm full Filipino, and there was a lot of messaging that she had to stay married, be married, and that dynamic was there. So she did have codependency issues. So I learned that, okay, like, this is all about the other person. We have to be selfless and da 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 da. And self-abandonment is really, really dangerous, and really dangerous maybe isn't the word, but it's not great for a healthy, secure relationship. And so it becomes problematic when we abandon our own desires, our own visions, our own truth for another person. And some of the things that happen when we self-abandon, we actually lose touch with our own intuition. We because we're tuned in, we're hyper focused on the other person and their desires, needs, goals, wherever. And so we lose track of what it actually feels like for us. And if you already are not in good relationship with yourself and what your own feelings are, and coupled with self-abandonment, it's a really slippery slope. So self-abandonment, again, is not listening to our intuition, our own gut, not listening to our truth, prioritizing somebody else in front of us. And I mean, there's a whole list of things with self-abandonment, and that was me to a T. I was 100% self-abandoning because I really didn't value myself. And one of the other pieces with self-abandonment was, for me personally, there was a ton of shame or blame. I was shaming and blaming myself left and right for whatever happened in the relationship, and just honestly, my own internal world was full of shame and blame. And one of the things that I work with one of my clients, out of the many tools, is learning how to reprogram how you talk to yourself. Because if you are not talking to yourself well, and you don't feel safe within yourself, if you don't have a strong sense of, I've got myself, I trust myself, I'm doing great, I'm doing the best I can, if you don't have strong self-talk like that, then you are self-abandoning. Because you have to be your own biggest, best fan in order to thrive. And not only to thrive, but if we are not our own biggest, best fan in relationship, and we expect somebody else to do that for us, again, not a good setup for healthy, safe, secure relationships. So I think this sign for me, I mean, when I really traced the thread back, it went back so far and so deep. I'm talking high school ring dance. I really had at that point self-abandoned. That was the start of my journey of self-abandonment. And I will tell you, self-abandonment has been so problematic. I mean, I can't tell you a relationship where I really put that other person's desires, goals, vision, everything else in front of mine. And one of the biggest shifts that's happened for me to go from anxiously attached to secure with an avoidant is that I come first. Straight up. And I say that, and for those of you who that feels really selfish, and I'm going to say that with like bunny fingers, quotation marks, selfish, when you don't have a history, and if you've never really put time or energy or love into yourself at the deepest, truest level, then saying it's all about me feels selfish, because it's so foreign to you. It's like somebody that's never tasted sugar having a Tootsie Roll, right? Like it's so much sugar. They wouldn't even know. I also, like, who hasn't tasted sugar? I actually am thinking about my in-laws. I love them. They'll probably never listen to this either, but that's okay. I love my father-in-law. Maybe I think I've mentioned this before, but he doesn't eat anything green. And when I say he does not eat anything green, I mean it. Like if there's chives on the baked potato, he's not eating it. So I think about him and I love him so much, but I think about how if he were to eat a big salad or like a side of broccoli, he's never had broccoli. Like I'm serious. That would feel so foreign and disgusting to him. He would feel just absolutely icked and grossed out and not handle it well. So I say that with love because it's probably in the realm of possibility that you've actually never thought what life would be like to put yourself first because it's so foreign. It's tasting candy for the first time. It's just so different. So I say that with a lot of love, but it's true. In my relationship, I do think about and hold myself to the high standard about how can I serve myself? Because if I'm in service to myself, that makes the relationship strong. So I know that this is like deep work, but I wanted just to touch on that the first step that you can take if you have been self-abandoning for a long time is literally get off this podcast and do something for yourself. Not because you are doing it for work or you're doing it for somebody else or your parents or your siblings or whoever. Like, what could you do that's truly for yourself that isn't watching Netflix or eating candy? Like, can you take a walk for yourself? Can you look at the clouds and enjoy them? Like, what could you practice something for yourself? And if you've never done that, or this is like brand new for you, this is like a muscle, right? I'm not saying you're going to get out of here and be Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Like to build that muscle takes time and it takes practice. So, but it all starts with the first step. So that's my sneaky little sign and an early sign of anxious attachment and how that can really impact your relationships. So take an inventory of yourself, take a good look, and more importantly, take action. All right. It starts with you. All right, angels, I am so grateful for you being here. Thank you for leaving a 5-star review, and I'll see you soon. Mwah.